Good morning and welcome once again to our gentle little space where health meets heart. And every word feels like it's wrapped in a woolly jumper. Put the kettle on, pull up that favorite chair, and let's have a proper natter dot today. We're talking about vitamin A vitamin with a glowing reputation. But like that one neighbor who waves cheerfully but parks over your drive. Well, there's more to the story than meets the eye. Now, you've probably heard all the good things about vitamin A. It's brilliant for the eyes, they say. And that's true, it helps maintain vision, boosts the immune system, and keeps skin healthy. Not to mention, it's a loyal player in the body's ability to grow and repair dots. So what's the fuss? Well, for those of us over 60, vitamin A comes with a bit of a warning label, the kind written in very small print on the back of a very large promise. You see, unlike water-soluble vitamins, like vitamin C, that your body flushes out if you've had a bit too much, vitamin A is fat-soluble. That means it gets tucked away in the liver like an old birthday card, and it stays there dot. And if you keep taking in more than your body needs, day after day, especially through supplements or foods that are fortified with extra vitamin A, well, that quiet little liver of yours might just have a quiet little meltdown dot. In fact, too much vitamin A can become toxic, and that's not a word we throw around lightly. We're talking about real symptoms here, like dizziness, nausea, headaches, confusion, even liver damage, and fragile bones. Yes, fragile bones. And isn't that ironic? The very vitamin we're told keeps us strong can, in excess, increase the risk of fractures, especially in older adults whose bones have already seen a good few winters. It's like being told to eat carrots for better eyesight and then bumping into the fridge anyway. Now let's be clear. We're not saying vitamin A is the villain. It's just not something you want turning up uninvited to every meal. So where does it all come from? Well, you get it from food things like liver, full-fat dairy, eggs, and some oily fish. And then there's beta-carotene, which is converted into vitamin A in the body. That's in all your orange veg, like carrots, sweet potatoes, and pumpkins. Now, here's the good news. Beta-carotene isn't dangerous. The body only converts what it needs. So go ahead and have that roasted carrot or bowl of butternut soup. It's not going to sneak up on you. The real trouble is with supplements and fortified foods. Many multivitamins, fish liver oils, and certain breakfast cereals are overloaded with performed vitamin A, the kind your body doesn't know how to say no to. So, what should we do? Simple. If you're over 60 or even just heading that way with grace, avoid supplements with high doses of vitamin A, especially if you're already getting it from your diet. The recommended upper limit for older adults is about 1.5 milligrams per day. And that includes everything diet and pills combined. If you're not sure, check the label. Or better yet, have a word with your GP. And remember, liver might be rich in vitamin A, but eating it once a week is more than enough. More than that. And your liver might just write a formal complaint. As the wise old Hippocrates once said, everything in excess is opposed to nature. And old Hippocrates never had a kitchen cupboard full of vitamin bottles. So, let's not overcomplicate it. Eat your carrots. Yes, just don't chase them with a megadose of cod liver oil. Our bodies are wise old things. They thrive on balance, not abundance. Let's treat them kindly, feed them gently, and remind ourselves that health isn't about more. It's about enough. And with that, we gently move on to the second vitamin on our list, vitamin E. Now then, kettle still warm? Good, because we're ready for the next cuppa of truth on our journey through the vitamins to watch out for. We've talked about vitamin and how too much of a good thing can leave our bones wobblier than a jelly. On a Sunday roast. Now, the second vitamin we need to chat about, with a gentle nudge and a raised eyebrow, is none other than vitamin E. Vitamin E, the beauty vitamin. They call it the darling of every skincare advert, every anti-aging cream, every capsule promising to keep us as fresh as spring daisies. But is it really the fountain of youth in a shiny little pill? Well, let's have a proper look, shall we? Vitamin E is an antioxidant, which means it helps protect our cells from damage like a knight in shining armor, fending off pesky invaders known as free radicals. Sounds noble, doesn't it? And yes, in moderate amounts, vitamin E is useful. It helps with skin health, immune function, and even supports our eyes and blood vessels. But oh yes, there's always a but. The story turns when we get too much of it, especially from supplements. Because just like with vitamin A, vitamin E is fat soluble. Once it's in your body, it stays around longer than an old song stuck in your head, and the trouble begins. When we invite too much of it to the party, taking high doses of vitamin E, especially through supplements, has been linked to increased risk of bleeding. Bleeding.uc. Vitamin E has a bit of a thinning effect on the blood. And if you're already on blood thinners like warfarin or aspirin, which many folks over 60 are, it can tip the scales a little too far. We're talking nosebleeds, bruising easily, or worse internal bleeding that might not show up until it's done quite a bit of damage. In some cases, studies have even suggested a possible link between excessive vitamin E intake and a higher risk of stroke, specifically hemorrhagic stroke, which involves bleeding in the brain. Now, we don't want to be alarmists. No one's saying a bit of vitamin E from food is dangerous. Quite the opposite, actually. But it's the supplements, once again, that turn a drizzle into a downpour. So where do we get vitamin E naturally? It's found in lovely things like nuts and seeds, vegetable oils, leafy greens, avocados. Yes, you trendy thing, you and even whole grains. These food sources offer vitamin E in amounts the body can handle, balanced, sensible, and wrapped in a whole parcel of other nutrients. But those supplements, they often contain 10 to 50 times more to what you get from your lunch. And for our bodies, especially as we age, that's like turning on the garden hose full blast when all we needed was a watering can. So here's what we suggest, dear friends. Skip the vitamin E supplements unless specifically prescribed. Stick with food sources. They're gentler and safer. And if you're taking any medications that affect your blood, let your GP know before starting anything new, even if it's just a vitamin. Because vitamins aren't sweets. They're tools. And as the wise Confucius once said, the man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. It's the little things, like what's on our plate or in our pill box, that shape our health journey. So let's carry those stones wisely, shall we? Now then, deep breath, sip of tea, and we move forward to our third companion in this cautionary tale, vitamin B6. Right then, we've covered vitamin A and vitamin E2 characters who mean well, but sometimes overstay their welcome, like chatty neighbors at the front door. Now, the third on our list is a bit more of a surprise. It's vitamin B6. Yes, that one. The quiet achiever from the B complex family. The one everyone assumes is just helping out in the background like the tea lady in a busy office. Kind. Supportive, always there with a smile. But, and you know by now there's always a but. When taken in excess, especially over a long period, B6 can become quite the troublemaker. Let's have a proper natter about it, shall we? Vitamin B6 is involved in all sorts of important jobs breaking down protein, keeping our brain and nerves ticking along nicely, and helping us make the hormones that manage sleep and mood. So yes, it's essential, but here's where the plot thickens. Unlike some of its watery B vitamin cousins, vitamin B6, when taken in high doses, especially through supplements, can build up in the body and cause nerve damage. Yes, nerve damage. We're talking about things like tingling in the hands and feet, feeling of pins and needles, numbness, poor coordination, and in more serious cases, difficulty walking or even permanent nerve injury. And the worst part, these symptoms can creep in slowly like fog over the fields, so you don't always notice them until they've really settled in. Now, that's not from a banana or a bit of chicken on your plate. That's from taking too much B6 over time, usually from supplements or so-called energy boosters. that sneak extra B6 into the mix without warning you it's there. Let's take a moment here. If there's one thing we've learned, it's this. Our bodies over 60 aren't the same as they were at 20. They've been through a lot, carried, used to joy and hardship, and they need a bit more care and a bit less excess, doc. And that includes being cautious with how we top up our nutrients. The safe upper limit of vitamin B6 for adults is about 100 milligrams a day. But most people only need about 1.5 milligrams daily. That's a tiny amount, doc, and yet some supplements give you over 200 milligrams in one dose. That's like watering a daisy with a fire hose. Now, don't go binning the bananas and chickpeas. B6 from food sources is perfectly safe. It's gentle, balanced, and comes with other helpful nutrients until God. It's the pills, the powders, and those little energy tonics that promise the world, but quietly sneak trouble through the back door, doc. So here's our advice. Skip high-dose B6 supplements unless your doctor has a very specific reason. Don't be swayed by labels that shout extra energy or brain booster. And remember, real energy comes from sleep, food, movement, and joy not from a tablet the size of a biscuit. As good old Socrates once said, the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on finding the old, but on building the new. So let's build gently. Let's nourish with love, not overload with pressure. And let's remember that more isn't always better. It's often just more, right then? With a smile and a nod, we roll on to our fourth curious character, vitamin C. Well now, here we are again, friends. The teacup's still warm, the birds are still chirping outside, and we're halfway through our little stroll through the vitamin garden though. Mind you, not everything in this garden is quite as rosy as it seems. Now, the fourth vitamin on our list is one that's long been treated like a celebrity vitamin C. Oh yes, the golden child of the supplement aisle. Praised for warding off colds, boosting the immune system, and keeping our skin perky and youthful. It's the vitamin that gets tucked into every fizzy drink, every chewable tablet, and every immune booster you see near the checkout line. You might even hear, can't hurt, can it? It's just vitamin C. But let's not be too quick to trust a pretty face, because too much of anything, even something as friendly sounding as vitamin K, can turn a helpful guest into a bit of a nuisance. You see, vitamin C is water soluble, which usually means the body gets rid of what it doesn't need. And that's partly true. Excess does leave the body, but not before it throws a party in your gut and your kidneys. High doses of vitamin C, especially in supplement form, can lead to stomach cramps, nausea, diarrhea, the let's cancel today's walk kind, and worst of all, an increased risk of kidney stones. Now, kidney stones, if you've ever had one, aren't exactly the type of company you want hanging around. They're painful, sharp, and they'll make you miss your afternoon telly and everything else besides. The issue is that vitamin C, in high amounts, can convert to oxalate in the body. And oxalate loves nothing more than to team up with calcium and form little crystals in the kidneys. So, while you're thinking you're protecting yourself from a sniffle, you might be quietly crafting a jagged pebble the size of a garden pea. Not quite the health boost we had in mind. Now, to be clear, we do need vitamin C. It helps heal wounds, supports immunity, keeps our gums and skin healthy, and acts as a powerful antioxidant. But we only need about 75 to 90 milligrams a day. That's easily found in A, single orange, a handful of strawberries, A, helping the broccoli, or even some red bell pepper on your plate. But guess how much you get in some of those chewable tablets? 500 to 1,000 milligrams or more. Every single day. That's not immune support. That's vitamin overkill with a citrusy smile. So, what do we say, dear ones? Enjoy your fruit and veg. They give you vitamin C in just the right dose. Be wary of fizzy drinks and lozenges promising super immunity. And unless your GP specifically tells you otherwise, leave the mega doses on the shelf, because nature knew what it was doing when it put vitamin C in a humble orange nut in a glowing tablet that fizzes like fireworks in your water glass dot. And remember the words of Hippocrates, often called the father of medicine. Greater than everything in excess is opposed to nature, including vitamins. So, with a wink, a smile, and our kidneys breathing a sigh of relief, let's stroll gently toward the fifth vitamin on our list, vitamin K. All right, dear listener, you've done brilliantly sticking with us this far. We've chatted about A, EB6, and the ever so popular C now. It's time to meet the fifth vitamin in our cautionary tale. Say a gentle hello to vitamin K. Not the flashes. Letter in the alphabet, is it? Doesn't have the glamour of C or the fame of D, but vitamin K. Oh, it's quietly powerful. It's the one making sure your blood clots properly when you nick your finger slicing tomatoes. And it plays a role in keeping your bones sturdy too. So, a good egg, right? Well, mostly, but just like a knife in the kitchen, useful can become dangerous if not handled with care. Now here's where it gets serious, especially for older adults. You see, as we get on in years, many of us end up taking medications to thin the blood like warfarin or other. Anticoagulants to help prevent strokes, clots, or heart attacks. And here's the sticky part. Vitamin K directly interferes with those medications. Imagine you're on a C-saw. On one end is the medicine keeping your blood from clotting too much, and on the other is vitamin K, whose job is to help blood clot. If you suddenly take in more vitamin K, say, through supplements or even certain foods, the balance tips, the medicine becomes less effective, which could lead to blood clots, strokes, or worse. But if you suddenly cut too much vitamin K out, the opposite can happen. You might bruise too easily or bleed more than you should. It's not just a vitamin, it's a balancing act. Now, I can hear some of you asking, but love, isn't vitamin K in leafy greens? Aren't those good for me? Absolutely they are. Spinach, kale, broccoli, they're full of the good stuff, not just vitamin K. But the key is consistency. If you're on blood thinners, the trick isn't to avoid greens altogether, but to eat about the same amount each week. No sudden green binges, and no cold turkey boycotts either. And as for vitamin K supplements, especially the high-dose ones, well, unless your doctors had a very long, careful chat with you, it's usually best to leave those alone, because a little capsule can throw the whole orchestra off key. Now, I know it all sounds a bit technical, but at the heart of it is a simple truth. More doesn't always mean better. And sometimes, trying to do good for our bodies without fully understanding can cause more harm than help. As Plato once said, greater than the greatest wealth is to live content with little. And that includes vitamins. So let's keep it simple. Keep it steady, keep it kind. If you're on medication that affects your blood, talk with your GP before making any big changes. Stick with your greens, but don't treat them like a fad diet. And remember, supplements aren't sweets. They're tools, and every tool needs wisdom to use. Now, having faced off with our clotting companion, it's time to shuffle gently towards the sixth vitamin in our journey, vitamin D. All right, love, put the kettle on, fluff that cushion behind your back, and let's natter for a while longer. We're now stepping into the golden glow of our sixth vitamin, one that's been getting more attention than a royal baby in the papers. You've guessed it, it's vitamin D, or as it's fondly known, the sunshine vitamin. Now, let's be fair. Vitamin D isn't the villain of this story. No, it's more like that overly helpful neighbor. The one who insists on popping over with casseroles, lawn advice, and unsolicited gossip. Mostly helpful, but in large doses, you might need to draw the curtains and pretend you're not home. So what's the big deal with vitamin D? It's a bit of a legend in the world of bones, joints, and general feel-good health. It helps your body absorb calcium, keeping your bones from turning into soggy biscuits. It's believed to support immunity, stave off the blues, and even help with muscle function. But here's the thing. Especially if you're over 60, there's a growing trend of taking far too much of it. It's in tablets, it's in sprays, it's in gummy bears. You think it was being handed out at bus stops with the morning paper, and because vitamin D is fat soluble, your body doesn't flush the extra away like it does with vitamin C. Nope, it stores it, builds it up, tucks it away like a squirrel, saving nuts for winter. Which means if you keep topping it up without needing it, that little stash can quietly become a hazard. What happens when you've got too much sunshine in your system? Well, here's where things get less sunny. High levels of vitamin D can lead to hypercalcemia. That's fancy talk for too much calcium in your blood, which then causes nausea, vomiting, loss of appetite. You might feel confused, tired, thirsty all the time, or needing to wee like a leaky teapot. And over time, it can strain your kidneys, leading to stones, or even damage. One study even showed that high-dose vitamin D increased the risk of falling in older adults. Yes, the very thing you might have been taking it to prevent falls and fractures could become more likely if you overdo it. Irony. Oh, she's a cruel mistress. It's like putting up an electric fence to protect your garden and then forgetting the gate's still open. So how much is too much? Well, the NHS recommends no more than 4,000 IU international units per day from supplements. But for most older adults, just 400-800 IU is enough, especially when combined with diet and even the tiniest bit of sunlight. Because here's the lovely bit. Your skin can make vitamin D just by spending 10 to 15 minutes outside a few times a week, even when it's cloudy. There's magic in the daylight. So take that stroll. Sit by the window with a brew. Let the gentle British sunshine give you its quiet hug. Now, let's talk food. There's no need to pop pills like they're jelly beans if your plate's doing the job. Oily fish like salmon, sardines, or mackerel. Glorious. Fortified cereals and milk. Excellent. Mushrooms left to sunbathe on the windowsill. Oh yes. Even they can produce a bit of D. And don't forget the humble egg yolk, nature's little golden surprise. A balanced diet, a bit of fresh air, and a wise chat with your GP is often more than enough. No need for turbocharged supplements, unless the docs had a proper look at your blood levels. Let me leave you with this bit of wisdom from that old thinker Paracelsus, who knew a thing or potions. Greater than all things are poison, and nothing is without poison. The dose makes the poison. So even sunshine, bottled or not, needs moderation. Remember, love. We're not trying to live forever. We're trying to live well. With balance, with grace, and maybe a few laughs along the way. And vitamin D? It's best served in small, thoughtful sips, not by the gallon. Right then, give your knees a little wiggle, top up that tea, and let's carry on. Because next up is the 7th and final stop in our little journey, vitamin B3, also known as niacin, where each chat is like a warm cup of tea with someone who genuinely cares. Today, we've arrived at the 7th and final stop on our journey through the vitamins we need to be extra mindful of. It's none other than vitamin D. Now, this one's a bit of a celebrity in the wellness world, isn't it? Almost every health advert, milk carton, and supplement shelf proudly claims enriched with vitamin D for strong bones and healthy aging. It's like the David Attenborough of vitamins, highly respected, always mentioned, and often trusted without question. But as your ever-curious companion, I'd like us to take a slow, gentle stroll through the whole story. Because while vitamin D can be a friend to the aging body, in the wrong dose or from the wrong source, it might just be the friend who overstays their welcome and eats all your biscuits too. First, the good bit. Vitamin D helps our body absorb calcium, which keeps our bones strong and steady. And for older adults, especially those over 60, it's considered quite essential since our bones begin to lose density and our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. So far, so good. But here's where we need to raise an eyebrow and pour ourselves a thinking cup of tea. Because the problem is not having vitamin D, it's in how much we're taking and how often. These days, many older folks are popping high-dose vitamin D tablets daily, often without medical advice, and it's easy to see why the message out there sounds simple. If a little is good, more must be better. Oh, how we humans love our extra. But dear listener, our bodies aren't like garden sheds that need topping up with vitamin pots. They're more like delicate greenhouses, everything in the right measure, with just the right warmth and light. Now, here's the tricky part. Vitamin D is fat-soluble, which means unlike vitamin C, it doesn't just flush out if you have too much. It gets stored right there in our fat cells. And if the levels build up too high, it leads to a condition called hypercalcemia, too much calcium in the blood, which sounds like a small word, but has very large consequences. We're talking nausea, fatigue, muscle weakness, kidney strain, even abnormal heart rhythms. Some people develop kidney stones. Others develop calcium deposits in places calcium should never be, like the lungs or blood vessels. And the bitter irony, too much vitamin D can actually weaken your bones. Yes, weaken them, because it pulls calcium out of the bones and dumps it in the bloodstream. Imagine spending years faithfully taking tablets to protect your skeleton only to find your femurs throwing in the towel and your kidneys are writing you angry letters. And here's the twist of the tale. Many of us in the UK, especially those who get outside regularly, don't actually need supplements at all. Just 15 to 20 minutes of sun on the face and arms 3 times a week is enough to generate healthy levels of vitamin D. Think about that. A gentle walk in the morning light, a natter with a neighbor by the hedge, and we've already topped up. Free, natural, and without any risk of accidental overdose. But because we live in a culture of more is better, many of us are taking 1,000 or even 2,000 IU daily, when our bodies might only need a fraction of that. So what should we do instead? Well, don't throw your supplements out just yet, but do this. Get your blood levels checked. A simple test can tell you if you truly need extra. Rely more on food sources. Things like eggs, oily fish, and fortified dairy products provide gentle, balanced doses, and most importantly, use sunlight. Safely, of course, but regularly. And if you do take a supplement, make sure it's the right strength, ideally under the guidance of your GP or a trusted professional. Because as the great philosopher Aristotle once said, virtue lies in the golden mean between 2 extremes. And so it is with vitamin D. Too little weakens your bones. Too much might break them. Balance. Dear friends, balance is the secret. So as we wrap up our journey through the 7 vitamins to watch, I hope you carry this not as a warning, but as a warm reminder. Our bodies don't need megadoses. They need kindness. They need wisdom. And they need us to listen not to the loudest adverts, but to the quiet voice of common sense. So let's greet each morning not with a pill, but with a stretch, a smile, and perhaps a walk in the early sun. Because health doesn't come in a bottle. It grows in our habits, in our choices, and in the way we love ourselves every day. Now fancy a cuppa? And that's it. Dear heart, our little journey through the world of 7 vitamins has come to a close. It's been quite the ride, hasn't it? We've chuckled, we've learned, and perhaps we've seen our cupboard with a slightly wiser eye. Remember, it's not about fearing what's on the label, but understanding it. About choosing with care, with love for this remarkable body that's carried us through so many seasons. And if any of this made you smile, if it made you think, or reminded you of someone you'd like to gently look after, well then, don't keep it to yourself. Give this video a little thumbs up. It tells us you're out there, listening. Leave a comment. We'd love to hear your thoughts or even just a warm hello. Subscribe if you haven't yet, so you won't miss our next friendly chat. And if you know someone, a friend, a neighbor, or even your favorite uncle who might benefit from a kind voice and a few gentle reminders, go on, share it, because sometimes the most caring thing we can do for others is to pass the light along. Until next time, look after yourself, stay curious, Stay kind, and remember, every day we're still learning is a day worth smiling about. Cheerio for now.